Alright, so this is going to be the video on the hop-up unit, sort of how to install the hop-up unit and how to install the inner barrel and outer barrel assembly together. So pretty much you're going to want to strip your hop-up or your stock AEG 240 pretty much down to this. You're going to have two roll pins, top and bottom, right here. They're kind of a pain in the ass to get out at first, because the pins just go in on either side. There's not one pin that goes all the way through, so you kind of have to find a small, really small punch or really small Allen key to get into the roll pin to sort of knock it out from one side, and then you can go from the other side and knock it out backwards. Or that's the way I do it, so I don't lose them or they don't fall. You could punch them straight through, and then they will come out through the hop-up assembly. But before you do any of that, you have to remove the inner barrel and hop-up assembly out. I think on the AEG, there's a couple Allen screws that you loosen, and then the whole inner barrel and hop-up assembly just slides right out. And then you'll be left with another piece that's spring-loaded that goes in and out here. This is the Daytona hop-up assembly. It's like spring loaded. It'll be about here, and then it usually gets pushed in to create a good seal with the gearbox. It's spring loaded, so that's why it has these pins which would ride in the channels. But yeah, so you would undo two screws, the whole inner and outer, the whole outer barrel and hop assembly will come out of the outer barrel. You just gotta knock those pins out, and then you'll take out pretty much this top piece right here will come right out. Anyway, so for now we'll put this aside. So pretty much all you're gonna keep from the old inner and outer barrel assembly will be, if you choose to use your AEG inner barrel, you can keep that inner barrel, or you can get an upgraded inner barrel. I have just the stock inner barrel for now. Then you'll keep the two roll pins that I showed earlier that you punch out. You have to keep those, and that's pretty much it. So your Daytona inner barrel pop-up assembly is going to come like this. So you're going to want to loosen 4 screws. You got one here, you got one here, and one here. So then you can slide this piece off, and then you can pull out, once you loosen these other 2 screws, you can loosen and take this out. This is your barrel clamp pretty much. It will have this, I believe it's steel inner barrel clamp or lock or whatever you want to call it. It will come already inside, so you gotta have to fidget and pull it out. I left it out just for now because I don't want to spend the time to show you how to take it out. You pretty much just got to get like a Allen key or something to poke it and push it out. For me, it was very stiff in there at first, and it took a while to get out. This screw right here, this big top screw, which is a different size Allen key than the other ones, this is your hop-up adjustment. Like I said before, you're going to want to thread lock everything, even the hop-up adjustment screw, with blue Loctite. From what I've seen in other videos is that with the vibration and all the shooting on full auto especially, your hop-up adjustment screw can back itself out a little bit, messing up your hop-up adjustment. So just put a little thread lock. Don't put a lot, just enough to keep it so it doesn't back itself out. And then inside of all this, you'll have your hop-up rubber bucking. This is a proprietary bucking that Daytona uses. It kind of looks like a standard, almost AEG hop-up bucking. But yeah, so let's get started with the build. Obviously, first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna put your hop-up bucking on. There's pretty much only one way to do it. There's a groove inside of here that's gonna line up with the groove on the outer or on the inner barrel. So you're gonna line those up. Then you're gonna push it to about there. Right when you feel that little bump go into the hop-up window. So you have your hop-up window. The Daytona gun will have a hop-up nub built in, pretty much to the hop-up bucking. So once you get that into the window, you just gonna want to make sure by pressing down where the hop-up is, make sure it's all lined up. Then you're gonna get this piece right here, your barrel clamp assembly. This is gonna slide over your inner barrel and your hop-up bucking. It's gonna slide over. You're gonna want to keep some downward pressure on the actual bucking, because this piece right here is gonna want to push the bucking out of place. So just gonna, there you go. Just a little further. And then once you get it all lined up, you're gonna put your inner barrel clamp, clip, or whatever you want to call it, into place. Make sure it's flush with everything. Then you're going to take the actual chamber, I guess you could call it, where the BBs go into. Put this on. Make sure everything's lined up. So when you first put it together, don't tighten all the screws down. Just put everything together. And then once you got everything together, this is when you're gonna start wanting to line up your hop-up window. You're pretty much gonna want to just slowly and make sure it's all lined up. So first thing I'm gonna do, get some good area. Barely seeing. I need some more light. I'll have to do. All right. Pretty much right now, sorry I'm out of the view. I'm just sort of pointing this towards the lamp I have. I'm just making sure the hop-up window and all the screws are lined up. Alright. So what I like to do first is I like to line up the window of the inner barrel. When you look into the inner barrel, you can, if you look upwards a little bit, you can see the square cutout of the hop-up window. And I then center the hop-up adjustment screw on that window. Make sure they're totally in line. And then you can then line up this part with your hop-up adjustment screw. So I'm going to tighten down these first so I don't lose that alignment. These are already kind of pre-Loctited, so There we go. There's that one. Let me do this one. There we go. Just gonna make sure all these are nice and snug. I'm gonna recheck. My alignment. Alignment's good. Once you tighten those, I'm gonna line up this housing right here. Make sure that's all lined up. And then you tighten these. And that is your hop-up assembly and inner barrel. Let's get all these snugged up. Boom. Then, just like with your AEG platform, you slide the inner barrel into the outer barrel. Don't force it, don't do it too quick. Just make sure everything lines up with the inner barrel bushings or stabilizers. And then you're gonna want to look in here. You can just line up these holes all in a row, or inside. I don't know if you can be able to see that, but you know it's all lined up when you see that channel. If you can see that right up here. So when you push it in, if you say you have it to the side a little bit and you're not looking at these holes, you can just spin it and boom. Obviously make sure your hop-up adjustment is at the top. And then all you gotta do is punch these roll pins in. Now these roll pins, you're gonna want to make sure they're flush. I don't have a roll pin punch on hand, so just doing the old-fashioned way. Everything's in there. Now, I forgot to mention, you don't put the spring back in, since the older hop-up unit, the spring pushed it about back to here. Right now, you only have about 4 or 5 millimeters of gap. If you try to put that AEG inner barrel spring back in, it's not going to happen. This is just loose. And it's loose, and it doesn't matter because this channel around here is where another screw goes in and locks the hop-up unit towards the bolt assembly, so you get a good air seal. So I'm gonna show you guys that real quick. Just gonna take the feed tray and feed tray cover off real quick, so that way doesn't keep falling down. Okay, just lay that right there. Get this. There we go. So this screw right here is what locks into this channel. So I'm gonna put the barrel do that a little slower. So there you go. You slide it in. Boom. Then, if it's not lining up, just sort of push it forward. Boom. Just tighten down that screw all the way so it's snug. Also make sure you Loctite that screw. Once you Loctite everything screwed in, you should have a very good seal between your air shaft and your hop-up bucking. So yeah, that's pretty much it. that's your hop up and inner barrel assembly. Pretty straightforward, very easy. Like I said, you don't have to take the whole thing apart to access your inner barrel and hop up assembly. All you have to do is undo. Let me get my little pointer. All you have to do is you undo this screw and then the opposite screw on the bottom down here. Undo those two screws and then you can pull out your whole inner barrel and hop up assembly out for cleaning if you need to. If you need to replace the hop up bucking, so you don't have to keep fiddling with these at all. All you gotta do is just undo those two screws. You can pull the whole assembly out. And do whatever you have to do. Boom. I'm not gonna tighten that down now because I do need to do some more work and everything. But yeah, that's my Daytona. I got where's my air tank? Right now, this is my setup. It's a Ninja 90-4500. It's a 90 cubic inch air tank at 4500 psi. It's the carbon fiber. I got the Redline SFR, or the super fast refresh rate regulator. I have it currently set up to 120 psi. It's usually the normal operating range. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. Turn it down. Boom. Plug it into my gun. Alright, so now I have it about 100 psi. About. It's about 100 psi now. Just gonna do some test shots real quick, just so you guys can see the action. So yeah, that is my Daytona build. My next video, I'm gonna do about the wiring. That's gonna be, I guess, part 4's wiring and going over sort of how I do my box mag. I guess part 4 of the series is kind of like a optional sort of deal, since this is how I did it. At sort of this point in the build of your Daytona, how you wire your magazine is sort of totally up to you. You can do what I did and put a switch in the behind the trigger, or just simply run a pressure switch from your box mag to somewhere on the gun, or just keep the pressure switch right on the box mag itself. Or if you just have an auto wind box mag, then you can do that. But this is how I did it. But yeah, that should be part number 4. And you guys have a good day.